Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are taking military-industrial complex as a term used to describe the relationship between the military and the defense industry. This complex has existed in the United States since World War II and has been instrumental in developing and manufacturing military hardware, weapons, and ammunition. The military-industrial complex has been responsible for some of the most significant technological advancements in history, but it also raises concerns about the potential for conflicts of interest and the possibility of profiteering. The recent conflict in Ukraine has highlighted the importance of ammunition in modern warfare. The Ukrainian military has been engaged in a protracted conflict with Russian-backed separatists since 2014, and the intense fighting has put a significant strain on their ammunition stockpiles. In response, the United States has provided significant military aid to Ukraine, including advanced weapon systems and ammunition. However, as the Washington Post reported, the United States faces a significant challenge in manufacturing enough ammunition to meet Ukraine's needs. The article cites the shortage of 155mm artillery ammunition as a particular problem, as the United States has largely depleted its stockpile of this critical ammunition. The article also notes that Europe lacks the industrial capacity to produce large quantities of ammunition quickly, leaving Germany as the only viable option for quickly ramping up production. This dependence on a single country for critical military supplies raises concerns about the vulnerability of the military supply chain. The military-industrial complex has played a critical role in the development and production of ammunition for the United States military. However, the current challenges in Ukraine highlight the potential limitations of this complex. The military-industrial complex is dependent on a vast network of private companies that manufacture weapons, ammunition, and other military hardware. This network is subject to the same market forces as any other industry, and the availability of critical materials and components can be affected by global supply chain disruptions or shortages. In the case of the ammunition shortage in Ukraine, it is not just a matter of ramping up production. The availability of critical raw materials may be limited, leading to further delays and production challenges. Another concern with the military-industrial complex is the potential for conflicts of interest. Private defense contractors have a vested interest in the continued funding of military programs and the development of new weapon systems. This creates a potential conflict between the interests of the defense industry and the national interest. There have been numerous instances of waste, fraud, and abuse within the defense industry, leading to concerns about the use of taxpayer funds to support the military-industrial complex. These concerns are particularly acute given the current political climate and the growing divide between the military and civilian sectors. Finally, the military-industrial complex raises questions about the role of the military in society. The complex is rooted in the idea that military power is essential to national security and that the development and deployment of advanced weapon systems are critical to maintaining that power. However, this approach can lead to an over-reliance on military solutions to complex problems, potentially undermining diplomatic efforts and exacerbating international tensions. The Bakhmut conflict is a long-standing dispute between Ukraine and Russia, centered around the strategic town of Bakhmut. It has been a flashpoint for violence and fighting for years, with both sides accusing each other of aggression and violating ceasefires. In this video, we will explore the history of the conflict, the current situation, and the implications of Russia's aggression in the region. History of the conflict. The Bakhmut conflict has its roots in the collapse of the Soviet Union and the formation of independent states. Ukraine, formerly a part of the Soviet Union, gained independence in 1991. However, the borders between Ukraine and Russia were not clearly defined, leading to disputes over territory. Bakhmut, a town in eastern Ukraine, was one of the disputed areas. In 2014, the conflict escalated when Russia annexed Crimea, a move that was widely condemned by the international community. In response, Ukrainian citizens in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk declared independence and formed the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. Russia has been accused of backing the separatists and sending troops and weapons to the region's current situation. The conflict in Bakhmut has resulted in widespread violence, with both sides accusing each other of aggression. Russia has been accused of shelling the town of Bakhmut over 200 times in a single day, causing significant damage and civilian casualties. Ukraine has responded with military action, and both sides have engaged in a cycle of violence and retaliation. The situation in Bakhmut has been further complicated by the presence of Russian-backed separatists and the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. The conflict has displaced thousands of people and has had a significant impact on the local population. Implications of Russia's aggression. The conflict in Bakhmut has far-reaching implications for the region and beyond. Russia's aggression in the region has been condemned by the international community, and sanctions have been imposed on Russia in response. The conflict has also strained relations between Russia and Ukraine, and tensions between the two countries remain high. The conflict has also raised concerns about the future of international law and the sanctity of national borders. Russia's annexation of Crimea and its involvement in the conflict in eastern Ukraine have been seen as a violation of international law and the principle of territorial integrity. The Bakhmut conflict is a complex and long-standing dispute that has resulted in significant violence and instability in the region. Russia's aggression in the region has been widely condemned, and the conflict has far-reaching implications for the region and beyond. It is crucial that the international community continues to address the conflict and work towards a peaceful resolution that respects the principles of international law and the sanctity of national borders. Thank you for watching our special report on the Bakhmut conflict. Bakhmut, a small town in eastern Ukraine, has been the center of the conflict between Ukrainian forces and pro-Russian separatists since the beginning of the war in 2014. The town has been under constant shelling and attacks, leaving many civilians struggling to survive. It's hard to describe the fear and terror that we experience every day. We never know when the next attack will come or where it will hit. It's a constant state of anxiety and uncertainty. On one particular day, Bakhmut was attacked over 200 times in just 24 hours. The shelling was so intense that many people were forced to hide in basements and underground shelters. I was at home when the shelling started. I knew I had to get to a shelter quickly, but the streets were too dangerous. I had to crawl through the rubble and debris to get to the shelter. I was so scared that I wouldn't make it, but I knew I had to keep going. The underground shelter where the survivor took refuge was crowded with other civilians who were also seeking safety. We were in the shelter for hours. We could hear the explosions above us, and we could feel the ground shaking. It was like being in a nightmare that you couldn't wake up from. The town was left in ruins after the attack, and many people lost their homes and loved ones. Our organization has been providing aid to the people of Bakhmut since the conflict began. We've seen so much destruction and suffering, but we've also seen incredible resilience and strength in the people here. Despite the constant attacks and the destruction, the people of Bakhmut have not given up. They have come together to rebuild their community and their lives. The conflict in eastern Ukraine may continue, but the people of Bakhmut are determined to survive and rebuild. Their stories of resilience and strength in the face of adversity are an inspiration to us all. Bakhmut, also known as Artemivsk, is a city located in the Donetsk Oblast region of Ukraine. The city has a long history of conflict dating back to World War I. During the war, Bakhmut was occupied by German troops, and many local residents were forced into labor camps. In the years that followed, Bakhmut became an important industrial center, with a thriving mining and steel industry. However, the city's prosperity was not without its challenges. In the 1990s, the collapse of the Soviet Union led to economic instability and social unrest in the region. As tensions grew, Bakhmut found itself at the center of a conflict between Ukrainian nationalist groups and pro-Russian separatists. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, and pro-Russian separatists declared the Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts to be independent republics. Bakhmut was one of the cities caught in the crossfire. In 2015, the Ukrainian government launched a military operation to retake control of the region, known as the Anti-Terrorist Operation. ATO. Bakhmut was a key battleground in this conflict, with Ukrainian forces fighting against pro-Russian separatists for control of the city during the conflict. Bakhmut suffered significant damage to its infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and buildings. Many residents were forced to flee their homes, seeking safety in other parts of Ukraine despite the challenges. Bakhmut has continued to rebuild and recover in the years since the conflict. The city has seen significant investment in its infrastructure and economy, with a focus on attracting new businesses and promoting tourism. However, tensions between Ukraine and Russia have continued to simmer, and the recent attack on Bakhmut by Russia is a stark reminder of the ongoing conflict in the region. History of conflict in Bakhmut is a complex and tragic one. From the horrors of World War I to the challenges of the post-Soviet era and the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the city has been through a great deal. Despite this, Bakhmut remains a resilient and vibrant community, determined to rebuild and move forward. Thanks for watching.